me move some of this around through my cold steel. This is the Cold Steel Spartan, and this is an incredible knife. We're going to talk about this, but we're going to move a lot of this stuff out of the way. I'm going to pick 5 of these knives. Cold Steel Knives has been a company that I've had a bunch of their knives over the years, and I've gotten a rap. I did a video a few years ago where I said Cold Steel, remember when they made quality knives? Pepperidge Farmers remembers. And the problem was a lot of people put me on a list as a Cold Steel hater. So as you can see here, there's a lot of knives here. I have owned more Cold Steels than any other knife company. So we're going to move all this out of the way. I'm going to pick out 5 of these, and we'll have a couple of them we're just going to glance at. But yeah, I just kind of want to dispel that because we can kind of see that I love Cold Steel. So let's go ahead and we'll look at the Cold Steel Spartan first. The Cold Steel Spartan. I have had this knife for a very long time. This is one of the most robust beater pocket knives you could ever hope to have. Now, this one is done in their AUS 8. This was their Taiwan. Now, this is an older knife. I have had this for a very long time. The Cold Steel Spartan was one of the first really robust folding knives I ever got. When you want to talk about an overbuilt folder, this was it. Great big, huge, like it's off the mat big. You know, Cold Steel does not make small knives. But the cool thing about it was it's got the triad lock, which is hands down, I don't care to argue with anyone. It is, for lockbacks, it is the strongest knife out there. It is the best conceivable way to make a lockback. You're never going to have it fail. There's not a lot of issues with it. And it is one of these, it is the strongest lock in the market. I know some people saying, oh no, Demco's new Shark lock and that for the way a knife should be done for a lockback, this is it. There's too many other things. But this knife is something that you can really carry easily, even as big as it is. The handles on it are great. They're comfortable. You've got a nice notched out area where you're not going to lose retention of that knife. It's not going to slip out of your hands if your hands are wet. The blade shape is a big recurve. It can be problematic for some people to sharpen, I will admit, but it came with these pocket clips. There's a reversible pocket clip feature. You get an extra pocket clip. I still have the other one somewhere. But the cool thing about this is, for as big as this is, closed, guys, this knife is 6 inches closed. That's 6 inches closed. You can still put this in your pocket and it does not carry badly. This thing still will carry. Now, this is in my camp pack. So if I go camping or things like that, this goes in my camp pack because it allows me to have a large knife in a smaller package. It's not any heavier, but it takes up a lot less space. I can throw this in my pack, and what I wind up with is the equivalent to a chopping knife that I can use in a campsite, in the field, without having as much space as a fixed blade. So there you go. The Cold Steel Spartan, one of my favorite overall designs of all time. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Spartan is thought, because I wanted to make a comparison. This is my Cold Steel SRK. This was an issue item. You can see that this has been through the mill. I don't know what the coating is they used on this is, but when I was talking about that, when you're talking about a fairly good sized knife, the blade length difference on this Cold Steel Spartan versus this fixed blade SRK is minimal. And when you look at cutting edge, you're looking at maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches difference. But look what you're winding up with. Okay, so Cold Steel SRK. This was a knife that was issued to me. This used to be items that were, this was a USA made knife that was issued to a lot of troops. It came with the Craton handles. This thing is a tank. We pried open a stuck door on a vehicle one time. I don't know what happened. My camera just turned off for some reason. What I was saying was we pried open a door on a vehicle with this one time. A work truck the door was jammed. We jammed it in the door frame and popped the door open. This is one of the most robust knives you're ever going to come across. If you can find an old Cold Steel that's made in the USA in the carbon V steel, the carbon 5 steel, or however they want to say it, they were amazing. It was a great steel, high carbon steel, takes a screaming sharp edge. It's not the best of slicers. This is like when I talked about combat knives and things. This is a knife that is super thick behind the edge and stuff like that. But the robustness and just being able to do anything you want, you could dig a foxhole with this if you want. The coating that they had on these were great. These were some of the best fixed blade knives you could buy, hands down, back in the day. The sheaths on them were great. They weren't using their Secure-X yet, so they stayed sharp. We'll talk about that in another video. I have loaned this out to people to take on trips downrange. So it's made multiple trips to the sandbox. And the Kratex handles were great because they were not slippery. Even if you got oily hands, greasy hands, wet hands, they held on. They never got sticky and gummy like a lot of rubber handles do. I've heard some people say that they've got them exposed to solvent and fuel, and they did that. I never had an issue with it. So great knife. The Cold Steel SRK in Carbon V, US made version. This is an old one. That would be my hands down recommendation. I know they make newer ones in like San Mai and stuff like that, but not my cup of tea. So there you go, Cold Steel SRK. This is the Cold Steel LITE. I like to say this is the knife that began my transition into becoming a big time liner lock fan. Up until the time I got this knife, I had only ever seen really crappy liner locks. You know that Cold Steel is known for their lock strength and stuff like that. They're really proud of the robustness of their knives. The lock on this was amazing. It still is amazing. This was the first liner lock I ever got that was rock solid, and I never had a fear of slipping off and things like that. A lot of the old school liners were really thin. So this LITE is done in AUS 8, a steel that Cold Steel used a lot. I will say Cold Steel probably has got some of the best heat treats on steels that most companies would not try to use. They would consider them inferior. I would put Cold Steel's heat treat on most steels up against any custom maker and things like that. Their AUS 8 punched way above its weight class. They did the same thing with their XHP and things like that. I'm sorry guys, if you're hearing background noise. It's a Saturday and my family's here. So yeah, it's a great knife. It's done in a stiletto format. It will wave. It kind of has, a lot of people I don't think know it. This Quillian, it has two Quillians. This Quillian right here, instead of having to use the thumb stud feature, you can actually use this like a wave feature. It will catch on your pocket and snap it open, and it works incredibly well on this knife. This one was done in Zytel handles with steel liners. The pocket clip on this is great. Some of the old Cold Steel pocket knives, the positioning they had on them were great. I will say the only thing that sucks about this knife is these Quillians are really sharp in the corners. I had thought about at one point like taking those points off, but the fact is the Quillian catches your pants. That's what allows you to have that wave feature. So if it wasn't sharp, it wouldn't work. I made a couple modifications. I added a sharpening choil on this, but this was a great little knife that has sold well over the years. It's a good, attractive design. It's a nice, like Italian stiletto style. It's done really well. It's nice and light. And like I said, one of the first knives that really showed me how good a liner lock could be. So Cold Steel LITE, this thing's a lot of fun. This is one of my favorite fun little knives that is in this fashion that's not a switchblade. So there you go, guys. Let's go ahead and grab the next one. I apologize for the interruption, but I do have to do the YouTuber thing and remind you guys that this is a self-sponsored channel. So if you want to support the channel and buy some cool stuff, I have a bunch of affiliate links down below that directly support the channel. Have other ways as well. We'll talk about that at the end. But like I said, affiliate links down below, including Blade HQ. So let's get back to the knives. Sorry about that interruption, guys. You know I got to do that YouTuber thing. So this knife is a knife that I think exemplifies the kind of quality that Cold Steel was capable of and could still be capable of. Like I said, I'm doing this in hopes that this is in preparation for me getting some of the newer Cold Steels in to look at. But this is the Pendleton Custom Classic. This is based on a Pendleton Custom Hunter. This is a very well done knife. Great materials, well done, red liners, black micarta, polished bolsters. This is done in San Mai 3. This knife, I've never really had to sharpen this knife. I've used it. I've actually went hunting. I've used this as my hunting knife. I've processed meat with this. I've actually done some minor things like rabbit and things with this. But this is a great hunting knife. Really well done. Thick blade stock. You can see it's the San Mai, so you've got the softer clad and then the harder center. That is hollow ground. It comes down nice and thin. This thing cuts so well. pinned construction that is there. You can't even feel any of that. The micarta is beautifully polished, but not slick. You've got, like I said, that beautiful tapered tang that's done really well with red linen liners all the way around. And then just the construction and the fit and finish on these were amazing. This is the knife that made me do the video. Remember when Cold Steel used to make quality knives, because I saw how good this was. I have another version or another example of their Sanmai. I have a Sizu, and that probably will be, I'll just show it to you guys at the end of this clip, but these knives were amazing. They were done so well, and then I had gotten some Cold Steels that just weren't done as well. These things were expensive too. This was some of their higher end stuff. These were like $400, $450 at the time, made in Japan. Really nice, good sheath that has held up over the years. This didn't get a lot of use. It's something I wanted, and then I got it, and then I couldn't get rid of this. There's just no way, because there's no examples of this that I've seen that are as good these days. But yeah, beautifully well done fixed blade Hunter by Cold Steel, the Pendleton Custom Classic. This is that other one I was mentioning. This would be I was on the fence as which one to bring up. This is the Cold Steel Sizu, also done in Sanmai and micarta with a really good knife. This is a discontinued model. I don't think you can even find these anymore, but I just thought I'd show that one because they did make some super high quality fixed blades for a long time. You knew we couldn't do a Cold Steel video without one of their Tantos in it. This is the Cold Steel Voyager Tanto. This one is done in CTS BD1, made in their Taiwan plant. Now, I'm not a fan of the steel. I did not buy this knife, by the way. This knife was a gift. And I've been on the fence back and forth, but really when it comes down to it, you're not going to find a more robust knife at this size, in this weight, with, you've got the triad lock, you've got a super well-ground Tanto. They always did their Tantos really well. Never had an issue with that. It was the edge grinds that I had a lot of hiccups and issues with, as you can see. But the blade grinds were always great. The heat treat on this BD1 is not anywhere near as bad as other steels. I'm just not a BD1 fan. It's not BD1N. But as far as this one, the action on this is so smooth. For a triad lock lockback, it's nice and light. It's got good weight forward of the balance. You have got really good retention because of the way that handle's done, almost like a pistol grip style. It reminds me a lot of the Spartan in way of retention. Sheer cutting power, this thing is great. This thing is coming in, it's just a little over 9 inches on the mat. But you've got a lot of blade, and the thing is, it's easy to control this knife. It carries really well. It does not have a wave feature, but once you open this up, if you've got a triad lock, you are just nigh on a perfect kind of lock, because it's as close as a fixed blade's gonna get. I would say that this portion of your knife, anything back here, would break before this lock would ever fail. They've got the videos, they show it. Pocket clip on it's good. This thing carries really well. The grip texturing on it is not overly aggressive, so it doesn't tear up pockets. It's just Zytel handles on this. It's not anything fancy. But this is a great emergency pack knife, glove box knife, throwing it in a bug out bag so you've got a good, reliable knife. The Voyager series, either drop point or Tanto, very good choice for that. So these are great knives. And like I said, of all of the Cold Steel knives I've ever owned, I think the action on this one is about the smoothest. Like you really can't hear that. So that's a good lock on a good knife. Done well. These knives were affordable. Cold Steel always did a good job with their stuff. Guys, that's all of them. I just wanted to kind of show you guys, I don't hate on Cold Steel. I've owned more Cold Steels than any other knife. I probably have several other Cold Steels laying around you didn't even see. So there you go, guys. Let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and send you out about your day so I can enjoy this Saturday with my family. There you go, guys. There was a handful of Cold Steel knives that I do love. I get accused a lot of times of hating on Cold Steel. I just think that they had some really good quality knives at one point, and they let their quality control go. And I'm doing this as a preemptive strike because these are old stock. These are not under the new ownership. So I'm wanting to do this video, and then I'm going to reach out
To you guys, I'm asking right now, if you have any of the newer Cold Steels that I could compare, even if it's the same models, I could do a side-by-side comparison with what I have compared to what's now, that would be great. I'm reaching out to you guys to see if you guys want to do that. I mentioned it at tabletop. So guys, that's pretty much it on this one. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down, but please try to tell me why. I can't change that content if you don't tell me what it is you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. If you do hit that bell icon, make sure you get notifications turned on your device, or you will not get notified of the sometimes 3 things I put up every Monday through Friday and sometimes on Saturday. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do it like I said in the middle when I interrupted the video. Everything here is self-sponsored. It's all done through affiliate links, membership, and a merchandise store. So all of that stuff is down below. The merchandise store, if you do purchase my shirts, please send me pictures of you wearing them, and I will put them in a video. Guys, that's it on this one. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I will see you in the next video.